Hello and welcome to another episode of Perspectives from Lifecycle Insights. I'm Chad Jackson and today we're talking about design reviews. Let's get started. Now to get rolling on this topic, let's talk about some findings from a recent study conducted by PTC. According to that study, on average, organizations conducted 20.5 design reviews a month. Now when you shift that and just look at larger organizations, that number increases to 57. So this is a high volume activity for engineering organizations. And obviously, if you don't do that efficiently, you can end up wasting a lot of time you could have been dedicating to design activities. Now, before we move forward on this topic, it makes sense to step back, make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of some definitions. So there's actually three different kind of variations on design review. First off, let's talk about what everybody thinks about when you say design review, which is a closed-loop process where engineering and technical employees provide feedback on the design. Basically, it looks like a peer review process. Now, the second one is design validation, and this is where non-technical employees and roles, maybe service, maybe manufacturing, provide a final check, either prior to design release or after design release. If there's an issue, then it becomes a closed-loop process. But if there's no issue, it is open. You don't have to provide feedback at all. Finally, there is Design for X, or DFX, which is where lots of non-engineering roles provide feedback during the design process. So they're checking for manufacturability, serviceability, cost, a lot of other enterprise considerations. And this is a closed-loop process from outside engineering during the design cycle. So with those definitions set, now let's talk about the challenges that a lot of organizations see with the design review process. Now let's move on and talk about the issues that a lot of organizations see when they try to conduct a design review process. First off, findings from the PTC study find that the ratio of non-CAD users to CAD users is about 100 to 123. That means there's more people in the design review process that don't have the knowledge, skills, or access to CAD applications. And that's critical because a lot of the design geometry obviously is accessible in CAD applications, and that's an issue. Secondly, in a study that I conducted with Lifecycle Insights last year, we found that half of today's engineers spend at least 4 hours a week fixing design geometry. This is typically when you work in a supply chain and you see designs being developed in a lot of different CAD applications. That is a major barrier to conducting those design reviews. Now lastly, from that same study that I conducted last year, the 3D Collaboration Interoperability Report, we found that 70% of respondents were using email as the primary method to share designs with their suppliers, partners, and customers. That's a major issue because it represents a serious threat to intellectual property. That could be stolen, used by another organization, and manufacturers could be cut short on their way to market. So those represent three major areas that are a concern for design reviews. Now, when it comes to the design review process, the news isn't all bleak. As a matter of fact, there's several advancements in different technological areas that provide some good news. First off, when you look at 3D authoring and visualization tools, those tools are actually more accessible to non-technical roles, people outside the engineering organization. These tools are much simpler and easier to use than CAD applications, and that's what they can use to access that 3D design geometry. Secondly, those tools also have been used to working with design data from lots of different formats for years. That actually cuts down on the amount of time that engineers and non-engineers need to work with and fix design data from lots of other suppliers. And finally, we're starting to see the emergence of a lot of different applications that allow very quick and easy sharing in a secure manner for those inside and outside of the organization. Now, all of this detail can be found in a recent ebook published by Lifecycle Insights on design review. Make sure to check it out.